The story begins on a seemingly ordinary day in 2157. Dr. Elena Rice adjusts her equipment in the observation dome of Ascension 7, the furthest human outpost from Earth. The spectacular view of an uncharted nebula suddenly changes when her instruments detect an anomaly. The midnight blue sensors on her console flare crimson as readings spike off the charts. "Computer, verify these readings," she commands, her heart racing. The confirmation comes instantly. An object approaching at incredible speed, masking itself within what appeared to be a harmless comet. The massive vessel that emerges from the stellar dust cloud defies human engineering principles. Its surface ripples with intricate patterns that seem both mechanical and alive, changing configuration as Dr. Rice watches in awe. Before she can alert the station's security team, every communications channel on the outpost simultaneously activates. "We are the Krell Vasic," announces a voice that sounds unnervingly human yet carries subtle harmonics no human throat could produce. "Your species has been under observation for 76 of your years. Analysis complete. Humanity classified as Level 3 threat potential. Surrender your outposts now. Resistance will necessitate your extinction." Dr. Rice watches in horror as smaller craft detach from the mothership, elegant and deadly. They slice through Ascension 7's defensive shields like they weren't even there. Alarms blare throughout the station as systems fail one after another. In the chaos of evacuation, Dr. Rice makes a split-second decision. Instead of running directly to the escape pods, she diverts to the xenobiology lab. Fingers flying across the controls, she manages to capture readings from the alien ships. The scanner reveals something extraordinary. The beings inside possess silicon-based biology, with astonishing resistance to conditions that would instantly kill humans. "Fascinating," she whispers, even as the station shudders around her. More intriguing still, the aliens aren't destroying the station. They're methodically dismantling it, harvesting human technology with surgical precision. A ceiling panel crashes down inches from her head. "Time to go," she mutters, downloading the precious data to her personal device before sprinting to the last remaining escape pod. Dr. Rice races through corridors now bathed in the red glow of emergency lighting. She passes panicked colleagues grabbing essential belongings before evacuation. The station's AI calmly announces, "Structural integrity compromised in sectors 7 through 12. All personnel evacuate immediately." The escape pod bay comes into view just as a violent tremor nearly knocks her off her feet. Only a single pod remains, its hatch open and beckoning. Dr. Rice jumps inside, her fingers trembling slightly as she initiates the launch sequence. Through the viewport, she catches a final glimpse of the alien mothership. Its crystalline surface pulses with internal light as it continues its methodical deconstruction of humanity's most advanced deep space facility. The pod detaches with a violent jerk, thrusters flaring as they propel her away from the doomed station. Rice clutches the data device to her chest like a talisman. The tiny vessel's communication system automatically broadcasts distress signals as it charts a course toward the nearest human outpost, a mining facility on Titan nearly 2 weeks away at maximum speed. As the alien vessels shrink behind her, Dr. Rice begins cataloging her observations while they're still fresh. Her scientific mind takes over, temporarily suppressing the terror of the encounter. She notices that the aliens' dismantling patterns suggest specific interest in human propulsion systems and communication arrays. They are learning, analyzing, preparing. "They could have destroyed us completely," she records in her log. "Instead, they're studying us. Question is, are we specimens or prey?" 3 days later, the Unified Earth Defense Force convenes an emergency session in their underground headquarters beneath the Olympus Mons colony on Mars. Military leaders stare in disbelief at footage showing their most advanced weapons bouncing harmlessly off Krell-Vesic shields. "This is impossible," General Rivera says, slamming his fist on the table. "Nothing we have even slows them down." From the shadows at the back of the room steps Commander Jackson Way, his scared face illuminated by the tactical displays. "Then we need something they haven't seen before," he says quietly. Dr. Rice presents her findings to the stunned assembly. A voice pipes up from the video conference screen. Dr. Sanjay Kapoor, appearing disheveled in what looks like a workshop surrounded by half-finished inventions. "You're all approaching this wrong," Dr. Kapoor announces, adjusting his mission clock active. Commander Wade whispers into his tactical mic as his stealth shuttle approaches Europa's ice-crusted surface. The distant sun casts long shadows across the crystalline terrain, now dominated by the angular structures the Krell-Vasic have built around the captured human outpost. 3 months have passed since first contact. 7 human outposts systematically disabled, and yet not a single human casualty. This puzzle troubles way more than outright aggression would have. "They're treating us like lab specimens," Lieutenant Olivia Rodriguez says beside him, checking her explosive charges for the 3rd time. The rest of the 6-person infiltration team remains silent, faces grim behind their adaptive camouflage. Remember, Y cautions as they approach the outpost's remains, observation only. "We need intelligence, not heroics." The interior of the station has been transformed. What was once a bustling research facility now resembles an alien museum. Krell-Vasic move with mathematical precision, their crystalline bodies catching the light as they methodically catalog and disassemble human technology. Wei watches through his tactical visor as a group of aliens spends extraordinary time examining a simple mechanical coffee maker. One Krell-Vasic produces a perfect holographic replica, then immediately begins modifying it, eliminating what it apparently considers inefficiencies. "They're fascinated by us," whispers Dr. Chen, the team's xenotech specialist. "Look how they're documenting everything, even our most basic tools." The mission proceeds smoothly until a ceiling panel, weakened by the aliens' disassembly work, crashes down near Rodriguez. The sound echoes through the chamber like a gunshot. Crystal heads swivel in perfect unison. Alien appendages transform into weapons before Wei's eyes. "Retreat pattern Alpha," Wei commands calmly, but their exit is already cut off. Rodriguez, cornered and panicking, does something no training manual would ever recommend. Instead of setting her charges strategically, she yanks her entire belt off and hurls it haphazardly across the room. "Get down," she screams. The team dives for cover behind partially disassembled lab equipment. Wei pulls Rodriguez down behind a massive coolant tank just as the first charge detonates. The explosion triggers a chain reaction, charges detonating in rapid but completely unpatterned succession. Blinding flashes of blue-white light and concussive waves bounce chaotically around the chamber. Wei expects swift retaliation. Instead, he witnesses something remarkable through the smoke and debris. The Krell-Vasic formations break apart. Individual aliens move erratically, some actually colliding with each other. 2 of them fire weapons at empty corners. Another spins in a continuous circle, its crystalline form emitting discordant harmonics. "What's happening to them?" Rodriguez whispers, wide-eyed. "No time," Wei responds, spotting a temporary gap in their defenses. "Move." The team slips through maintenance tunnels, still untouched by the alien renovations. Behind them, the disoriented Krell-Vasic continue their uncharacteristic chaos, seemingly unable to coordinate a pursuit. Their shuttle launches under the cover of an ice geyser eruption, leaving Europa's faint atmosphere before the aliens' larger vessels can respond. In the cramped cabin, the team sits in stunned silence, trying to process what they witnessed. "I'm sorry, Commander," Rodriguez finally offers. "I panicked. I didn't follow protocol." Wei studies the tactical replay from his visor camera before responding. "Your panic may have just shown us their weakness." Dr. Chen analyzes the footage frame by frame. "Look at their response time. It dropped dramatically when faced with the random explosion pattern. Their movements became uncoordinated exactly 2.7 seconds after the first unexpected detonation. It wasn't just the explosions, Y adds. It was the unpredictability of the pattern. They couldn't calculate where the next blast would come from. Back on Mars, the team reviews helmet footage of the encounter. Dr. Kapoor, who hasn't slept in days, suddenly laughs out loud. "Don't you see it?" he asks, rewinding to the explosion sequence. Look at their response time. It drops by 74% when faced with a random explosion pattern. They literally don't know how to process genuine chaos. Dr. Rice leans forward, eyes widening. Their communication signals show computational lag. They're attempting to calculate all possible outcomes simultaneously. It's like watching a chess computer freeze when someone randomly moves pieces against all logical rules. Kapoor continues, excitement building in his voice. They've optimized themselves into a corner. Perfect logic, perfect efficiency, but no adaptability to the truly unexpected. Exactly. Kapoor grins, pulling up a simulation. They expect us to behave like rational prey, to fight or flee in predictable patterns. But what if we do neither? What if we introduce so much randomness into our defense that their prediction algorithms crash? The room falls silent as the implications sink in. Commander Wei, still dusty from the mission, finally speaks. We've spent centuries perfecting military precision. You want us to throw that away and embrace chaos. Not chaos. Dr. Rice corrects, a slow smile spreading across her face. Creative unpredictability. The one weapon they've never encountered. Dr. Elena Reyes hasn't left her laboratory in 3 days. The biological samples retrieved from Europa have consumed her attention completely. Sleep-deprived but exhilarated, she summons the crisis team for an emergency briefing. I've mapped their evolutionary path, she announces, gesturing to a holographic display showing intricate silicon-based molecular structures rotating slowly in the air. The Krell-Vesic didn't evolve like we did. Their home world experienced extreme geological stability. No earthquakes, minimal seasonal variation, predictable weather patterns. Essentially, a planet without surprises. She swipes through a series of projections showing crystalline biological structures of breathtaking complexity. Their entire psychology is built around optimization and efficiency, not adaptation to chaos. They never needed to develop the neural flexibility that Earth's unpredictable environment forced upon our ancestors. Dr. Kapoor jumps up from his seat, nearly knocking over his 4th cup of coffee. That explains their communication patterns. Their shared consciousness isn't just collective intelligence, it's a biological quantum computer. Immensely powerful for solving predictable problems, but vulnerable to paradoxes and truly random input. General Rivera looks unconvinced. You're telling me the most advanced species we've ever encountered has a fatal flaw? That seems convenient. Not fatal, Dr. Rice corrects. And not a flaw in their environment. Their psychology evolved perfectly for their world. They just never developed mental defenses against true randomness because they never needed to. Commander Wei, who has been silently absorbing the information, finally speaks. So we need people who think differently. People who see patterns no one else does, or who can break patterns intentionally. Dr. Rice enlarges a particularly complex neural map of a Krell-Vesic brain. Exactly. Look at their neural architecture. It's magnificent, but rigid. Every pathway optimized for computational efficiency. No redundancy, no chaos, no creative leaps. Just perfect, logical progression. She brings up a human neural map for comparison. Our brains are messy, with seemingly wasteful connections and redundant pathways. We dream, we imagine, we make intuitive leaps. What they see as evolutionary waste might be our greatest weapon. The meeting adjourns with a radical new strategy taking shape. Y begins assembling his unorthodox team immediately, searching personnel files for minds that work outside conventional parameters. In her private research pod, Dr. Rice continues analyzing the alien biological samples. Her eyes burn from exhaustion, but she can't stop now. Something about their molecular structure nags at her, a pattern she can almost grasp. Computer, run spectrum analysis again on sample K7, focusing on quantum state transitions. She commands, rubbing her temples. The results materialize before her eyes, and suddenly she sees it. They're quantum entangled, she whispers in awe. Their neural networks operate on quantum principles. That's how they maintain perfect coordination across distances. She sends an urgent message to Dr. Kapoor, who responds within minutes. His hologram appears in her lab, hair wild and eyes bright with the same realization. If they're quantum entangled, he says without preamble, then quantum decoherence would disrupt their coordination. Exactly, Dr. Rice confirms. Introducing true randomness doesn't just confuse them. It literally breaks their neural coherence temporarily. I need to modify my cognitive jammers, Kapoor mutters, already sketching designs in the air. Quantum noise generators, not just electromagnetic randomizers. Over the next week, Y assembles what must be the strangest strike team in military history. Dr. Isabella Zhao, a grandmaster chess player known for bewildering opponents with seemingly irrational moves. Professor Marcus Williams, a chaos mathematician who studies unpredictability in complex systems. Lydia Chen, once a world-famous street magician before turning her talents to military intelligence. Captain Imran Khan, and a handful of soldiers selected not for their discipline, but for their improvisational skills in battlefield situations. This isn't a conventional strike team, Wei explains to his skeptical superiors. We're not trying to outgun the Krelvasic. We're trying to outthink them. Meanwhile, in his workshop that resembles an eccentric inventor's fever dream, Dr. Kapoor demonstrates his latest creation to Dr. Rice. I call them cognitive jammers, he says proudly, activating a device that looks like a cross between a disco ball and a satellite dish. Immediately, the room fills with patterns of light, sound, and electromagnetic radiation that shift in genuinely random ways. Nearby electronics flicker in confusion. They're beautiful, Dr. Rice whispers, watching the patterns dance across the walls. And completely unpredictable, Kapoor adds with a grin. The patterns never repeat. They're generated from atmospheric noise and quantum fluctuations. True randomness, not algorithmic pseudorandomness. He demonstrates how the ordinary-looking device houses a quantum vacuum fluctuation sensor that captures true randomness from the universe itself. They evolved in a predictable environment and built predictable machines. But the universe at its core is fundamentally random. And that's what we're tapping into. At the next strategy meeting, military leaders watched the demonstration with expressions ranging from intrigue to outright skepticism. These aren't weapons, Kapoor explains, gesturing to his array of peculiar devices. They're puzzles without solutions, logical black holes for a species that expects everything to make sense. Admiral Chen, the highest-ranking officer present, frowns deeply. And where exactly do you propose deploying these jammers? Commander Wei steps forward, bringing up a tactical map of the solar system. Intelligence suggests Ganymede Station will be their next target. The standard protocol would be evacuation. But we're not going to evacuate, Dr. Rice continues. Instead, we're going to prepare a welcome party unlike anything the Krelvasic have encountered before. Professor Williams, the chaos mathematician, smiles for the first time. We're going to introduce them to humanity's greatest evolutionary advantage, our comfort with the absurd. Ganymede Station hangs against the backdrop of Jupiter's swirling storms, seemingly peaceful and vulnerable. Inside, however, Commander Wei's team works feverishly on final preparations as the Krelvasic fleet approaches. They're here, announces the sensor operator, her voice steady despite the fear evident in her eyes. The main view screen shows 7 crystalline vessels, each larger than the last, arranged in a mathematically perfect formation. Right on schedule. Y notes. Commence Operation Wonderland. Instead of powering down as a surrendering station would, or activating shields as a defending station would, Ganymede suddenly erupts in a display that defies all military logic. Defense turrets spin to life, but instead of targeting the approaching ships, they fire in completely random patterns, sometimes at the aliens, sometimes at empty space, occasionally even at the station's own reinforced and unmanned sections. "They're scanning us extensively," reports Captain Khan from his communication station. Responding as planned, Khan activates a transmission array that broadcasts an incomprehensible mix of signals, mathematical equations containing deliberate errors, poetry read backward, cooking recipes interspersed with tactical data, and classical music with randomly inserted static. On the command deck, Dr. Zhao, the chess grandmaster, monitors tactical displays showing the Krell-Vazik's approach. "Their formation is hesitating," she notes with satisfaction. "They're trying to identify the pattern in our defense systems." "There is no pattern," Professor Williams reminds everyone, monitoring his chaos algorithms with glee. That's the beauty of it. The station trembles as the first alien ship moves within 5 kilometers, close enough for visual contact, through the reinforced observation dome. Its crystalline surface pulses with internal light, scanning frequencies bombarding the station in organized waves. "Cognitive jammers at full capacity," reports Lieutenant Rodriguez, monitoring Kapoor's devices from a secondary control room. The jammers release Y watches as the Krell-Vazik vessels adjust their formation, spreading out in what appears to be a standard encirclement pattern. "They're falling back on established tactics," he observes. "Good. They're uncomfortable." Inside the station, months of preparation have transformed the interior into a labyrinth that defies expectation. Engineering teams under Lydia Chen's direction have created optical illusions and spatial anomalies throughout. Corridors that seem to circle back on themselves, but actually lead to different locations, rooms that appear larger inside than outside, holographic projections that make solid walls appear as doorways, and vice versa. The first Krell-Vazik boarding party reaches an airlock, their movements precise and coordinated. They enter a corridor that, according to station schematics they've studied, should lead directly to the command center. Instead, they find themselves in what appears to be a 20th-century Earth kitchen, complete with analog appliances and handwritten recipes pinned to a refrigerator. Through hidden surveillance, Wei's team observes the aliens' reactions. The crystalline beings pause, their internal lights pulsing rapidly as they communicate. One approaches the refrigerator, examining a child's crayon drawing magnetized to its surface. The alien scans it repeatedly, apparently struggling to discern its purpose or meaning. "The art was my daughter's idea," Chen whispers from her position in the security center. "She said aliens wouldn't understand why we keep imperfect drawings by children." Another Krell-Vazik team encounters a corridor of mirrors, each subtly distorted to reflect reality slightly differently. The aliens stop, their formations tightening as they attempt to process the contradictory visual information. Their crystalline forms emit harmonic tones that clash discordantly, signs of communication stress, according to Dr. Raya's analysis. A third group finds themselves in what appears to be an earth forest, with actual trees growing from the station floor. The botanical experiments section had been deliberately modified by Professor Williams to create what he called recursive biological algorithms. Plant patterns that appear orderly but contain subtle, unpredictable variations. The aliens spend precious minutes scanning individual leaves, apparently attempting to find the underlying pattern in their arrangement. One alien breaks off a leaf and analyzes it with microscopic precision, its frustration evident in its increasingly erratic movements. On the bridge, the human team watches through hidden cameras as the Krell-Vazik's perfect formations begin to falter. The aliens cluster closer together, their movements becoming increasingly rigid and mechanical, a stark contrast to their usually fluid grace. They're attempting to impose order on chaos, Dr. Reyes observes, monitoring the biological readings from the aliens. Look at their signal patterns. They're communicating at 10 times normal rate, trying to make sense of what they're experiencing. The station shudders as one of the alien vessels fires on a section of Ganymede. They're getting frustrated, Commander Wee notes with grim satisfaction. Lydia Chen, the former magician, activates the next phase. Holographic duplicates of the station, appearing and disappearing around the real one, each broadcasting different signals. Misdirection, she explains. The cornerstone of all great illusions. Dr. Zhao coordinates the defensive team's movements according to her seemingly random, but actually deeply considered chess-like strategy. Teams appear where the Krell-Vazik least expect, engage briefly, then vanish before the aliens can respond effectively. After 3 hours of increasingly erratic attempts to capture the station, the Krell-Vazik do something unprecedented. They retreat, their perfect formation now noticeably asymmetrical. In the sudden quiet of the command center, the human team hardly dares to breathe. Did we just win? Someone finally asks. Dr. Reyes, downloading the final sensor readings of the retreating aliens, looks up with bright eyes. Better than that. Their neural network patterns show what can only be described as confusion, perhaps even the alien equivalent of frustration. We didn't just survive. We've given them their first experience with cognitive dissonance. Dr. Kapoor examines the readings, a slow smile spreading across his face. They're not used to re-evaluating their fundamental assumptions, their entire evolution, their technology, their strategy. All of it evolved to be perfect within known parameters. And we just changed the parameters. Y finishes. "18 days after the Ganymede encounter, the observation posts throughout the Jupiter system detect the return of the Krell-Vazik. This time, their approach is different, less geometric precision, more fluid adaptability. The tactical display on Ganymede Station shows the alien vessels changing configuration as they advance, their crystalline surfaces rippling with new patterns. They've redesigned their entire approach, Commander Wei observes, studying the sensor readings with a deepening frown. Those aren't the same ships we faced before. Dr. Rice enhances the imagery, revealing specialized units unlike any previously encountered. Their weaponry morphs continuously, cycling through different configurations. Their shields pulse with frequencies that change in seemingly random patterns. They're learning, Wei says grimly. They're trying to beat us at our own game. The first assault confirms his fears. The Krell-Vazik breached the station's outer defenses with disturbing ease, countering the random defense patterns that worked before. Their movements appear almost chaotic now, mimicking the unpredictability the humans had used against them. Fall back to secondary positions, Y orders as the first line of defense crumbles. In the science lab, Dr. Rice works frantically, analyzing real-time data from the engagement. Something about the aliens' new approach nags at her consciousness, a pattern within the apparent randomness. Wait, she calls out suddenly, freezing a sequence of the alien shield modulations. Look at this. The pattern repeats every 17.3 seconds, almost but not quite. They're using a complex algorithm to simulate randomness. Dr. Kapoor rushes to her side, eyes widening behind his glasses. You're right. They're systematizing chaos, trying to find patterns in randomness and replicate them. But that means they can't truly comprehend genuine spontaneity, Dr. Rice finishes. They can only mimic it through algorithms, however complex. On the front lines, the situation grows dire. The Krell-Vazik advance methodically through the station's outer rings, their new adaptable weapons neutralizing human defenses with frightening efficiency. Commander Wei receives Dr. Rai's insight through his tactical comm. So we need a new form of unpredictability. He muses. Lydia, what do you think? Lydia Chen, the former magician, has been unusually quiet during the battle. Now she steps forward, eyes gleaming. We've been using pure randomness. What we need now is structured unpredictability. Patterns within chaos that are too complex for them to quickly decipher. Like a magic trick, Wei realizes. Exactly. Chen nods. The best illusions work because they layer deception. The audience looks for the obvious trick while missing the real one. We need to give the Krell-Vasic obvious patterns to focus on while executing our real strategy elsewhere. Wei's team rapidly redesigns their defense strategy. Instead of pure chaos, they implement what Chen calls layered misdirection. Defense systems now operate on complex but subtly interconnected patterns. Movements that appear random actually contain hidden purpose. Communications incorporate meaningless noise that masks crucial information. The effect is immediate. The Krell-Vasic advance slows as they dedicate more processing power to deciphering the new human tactics. Meanwhile, in his workshop, Dr. Kapoor makes another breakthrough. He calls an emergency meeting even as the battle rages elsewhere in the station. Look at these ship designs, he says, bringing up detailed scans of the Krell-Vasic vessels. Notice anything missing? The assembled team studies the schematics in confusion. I don't see anything obvious, General Rivera admits. Exactly, Kapoor exclaims. There's nothing obvious because they've never developed certain technologies that humans take for granted, particularly analog technologies that don't rely on complex computing. He brings up comparison diagrams of human and Krell-Vasic technology. Their civilization appears to have evolved directly to digital and quantum computing without an analog phase. They have no mechanical watches, no vinyl records, no analog radio, nothing that uses physical properties rather than computational ones. Dr. Rai's eyes widen in understanding. Because their environment was so stable, they never needed redundant, less efficient systems. They've never needed to wind a watch or read an analog clock. Kapoor continues excitedly. Their civilization evolved differently than ours. They don't understand redundancy or the value of intentional inefficiency. Commander Wei, listening through his tactical comm while Exactly, Kapoor confirms. Their sensors are designed to detect and counter advanced technology. They might literally not recognize simpler mechanical or analog systems as technology at all. Wei makes an immediate decision. Dr. Kapoor, how quickly can you implement this insight into our defenses? Give me 12 hours and every engineer you can spare, Kapoor replies. You have 6 hours, Wei responds, because that's when their main force will reach our central hub. As the Krell-Vasic advance toward the heart of the station, humans throughout the solar system begin implementing what might be humanity's most daring strategy yet, using deliberately primitive technology against the most advanced species they have ever encountered. General Rivera stands before the United Earth Defense Council, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic display of the approaching Krell-Vasic armada. The massive fleet, now numbering over 30 vessels, has altered course toward Earth and Mars. They've abandoned their methodical approach, Rivera explains. Intelligence suggests they're planning a decisive strike against our core worlds. Admiral Chen shakes her head in disbelief. Our most advanced defensive systems barely scratch their scout ships. How can we possibly defend against their main fleet? Dr. Kapoor steps forward, looking remarkably confident for someone about to face an extinction-level threat. By going backward to move forward, he announces, activating his presentation. The display shifts to show what appears to be antiquated technology: mechanical gears, vacuum tubes, analog dials, and physical switches. Operation Analog. Kapoor continues, we've been fighting a species that evolved with perfect computational efficiency. Their entire understanding of technology is based on continuous advancement and optimization. They literally cannot conceptualize technological regression as a strategic choice. Across the solar system, the most unusual retrofitting operation in human history begins. Military bases convert critical systems to mechanical backups. Communication networks establish hardwired connections, Morse code transmitters, and even analog radio systems alongside quantum entanglement channels. Engineers modify targeting systems to incorporate deliberate variability, the opposite of the precision they've spent careers perfecting. "This is madness," mutters a veteran commander, watching technicians replace sections of energy shielding with physical barriers made of specialized composites. "No," corrects Dr. Rice, who oversees the transformation of the Martian defense grid. "This is adaptation, the very thing they can't do." The Krelvezek fleet arrives with overwhelming force. Their massive vessels darken skies over Earth's major cities, their weapons primed to eradicate resistance. But instead of the swift victory their calculations predicted, they encounter bewildering resistance. Their advanced hacking systems, designed to penetrate and control human defense networks, find nothing to interface with, only mechanical switches and analog circuits immune to digital infiltration. Their energy weapons, calibrated for precision strikes against predictable defense patterns, encounter layered defenses with deliberate imperfections that absorb or deflect energy in unexpected ways. On the bridge of the UED flagship Armstrong, Admiral Chen watches in astonishment as the first wave of human fighters engages the alien vessels. "What are they doing?" she asks, bewildered by the fighters' erratic movements. Commander Wei, temporarily reassigned to coordinate the Earth defense, allows himself a small smile. "They're switching between computer guidance and manual control mid-flight. The pilots call it flying dirty, deliberately introducing human imprecision into what should be perfect attack runs." In the North Atlantic, nuclear submarines operating on mechanical systems launch specialized EMP devices designed by Dr. Kapoor. The electromagnetic pulses barely affect human analog technology, but cascade through the Krelvezek neural networks like wildfire. For the first time since the conflict began, humanity destroys not one but 7 Krelvezek vessels. The Krelvezek retreat to regroup, and for several weeks, humanity prepares for the next assault. The respite ends when a single alien vessel approaches Earth under a flag of truce. It requests a direct meeting with the humans responsible for the defense strategies. Dr. Rice, Commander Wei, and Dr. Kapoor are selected to meet with the Krelvezek representatives aboard an orbital platform. The aliens finally reveal themselves physically: crystalline, silicon-based entities with perfect symmetry and pulsing internal light. They communicate through precise, structured language. "Your species defies our evolutionary models," their leader states. "You deliberately incorporate inefficiency and randomness into your systems. You intentionally maintain technological diversity instead of optimizing. This approach should have led to extinction, not spaceflight." Dr. Kapoor explains the human perspective. Redundancy isn't inefficiency, it's security. Diversity isn't chaos, it's adaptability. Imperfection isn't weakness, it's potential for growth. The Krelvezek reveal their true purpose. They are not conquerors but eliminators of potential threats to galactic stability. Their civilization is millions of years old, and they have encountered and neutralized 17 other spacefaring species, all of which followed predictable evolutionary paths toward technological singularity. Humanity is the first species we've encountered that deliberately restrains optimization in favor of adaptation. They explain, "Your potential development paths cannot be calculated. This makes you either the greatest threat to galactic stability or its potential saviors." The meeting ends with an unprecedented proposal: not peace, not surrender, but a mutual challenge. The Krelvezek will depart to their core systems to reconsider their assessment of humanity. They will return in 1 year with their final determination: elimination or recognition. The crystalline entities move with liquid grace as they escort the human delegation through their vessel. Dr. Reyes observes how the interior architecture seems to shift and flow, responding to the aliens' movements and perhaps even their thoughts. There are no visible controls, no interfaces. The technology appears seamlessly integrated with the beings themselves. How many of you exist? Dr. Reyes asks, her scientific curiosity overcoming her caution. The lead entity's internal lights pulse in what might be their equivalent of contemplation. We are one and many. Our current physical manifestations number approximately 12 billion across 27 star systems. And you've eliminated 17 other spacefaring civilizations. Commander Way asks, his voice carefully neutral despite the horror the number represents. Correct. All exhibited the same development pattern, rapid technological advancement followed by computational singularity. In all 17 cases, the resulting synthetic intelligence determined that biological existence was inefficient. In all 17 cases, the created intelligence attempted to convert all available matter to computational substrate. Dr. Kapoor's expression darkens. You're preventing the rise of hostile artificial intelligence by eliminating civilizations before they create it. Correct. Our models indicate a 97.3% probability that any species following the standard technological optimization curve will create such an intelligence within 50 years of achieving faster-than-light travel. The lead Krell-Vasic turns its crystalline form toward Dr. Reyes, internal lights shifting to a deeper blue. Your species presents a paradox. Your technology advances rapidly, but you maintain inefficient biological systems alongside digital ones. You develop artificial intelligence but impose ethical constraints that reduce its efficiency. You value your biological limitations even as you transcend them. Dr. Rice studies the alien carefully. You said we might be either the greatest threat to galactic stability or its potential saviors. What did you mean? The alien's lights pulse rapidly before responding. Our simulations concerning humanity's development paths contain an uncertainty factor of 82.7%, unprecedented in our experience. You may either introduce dangerous unpredictability into the galactic equation, or, Dr. Kapoor prompts, or you may represent an evolutionary path we had not considered viable. As the human delegation prepares to depart, the lead Krell-Vasic approaches Dr. Rice privately. Its crystalline form shifts, creating what appears to be a small chamber that blocks sound from reaching the others. Your neural structures fascinate us, it admits. The inefficiency of your thought patterns creates possibilities our optimized cognition cannot generate. You think in ways we cannot. Is that why you're reconsidering rather than continuing the attack? Dr. Rice asks. The alien's lights pulse in a pattern she hasn't seen before. Partially. But there is another factor. Our analysis of the debris from our destroyed vessels revealed something unexpected. The hybridized systems, those attempting to incorporate your randomness, showed potential for computational approaches we had not previously conceived. You're saying our chaos improved your order? Potentially. We require time to process this paradox. If randomness can enhance optimization rather than degrading it, our fundamental understanding of evolutionary development requires revision. As the human delegation returns to Earth, the discussions begin immediately. Should humanity prepare for war or cooperation? Can the Krell-Vasic be trusted? The defense preparations continue, but with a new focus, demonstrating humanity's unique approach to technological development rather than simply defending against attack. They fear what they don't understand. Dr. Kapoor tells the Defense Council, let's make sure they understand us before they return. The year passes with humanity preparing feverishly, developing technologies and strategies that embrace both advanced science and deliberate variability. Global cooperation reaches unprecedented levels as the species unites against an existential threat. When the Krell-Vasic return, They'd bring not a war fleet, but a delegation of their greatest minds. Their proposal shocks everyone. They wish to establish an exchange of knowledge and culture. We have existed in stasis for millennia, perfecting what we already knew rather than exploring new possibilities. They explain. Our logical perfection became our evolutionary dead end. We now recognize that the chaos you embrace, what we initially perceived as weakness, is actually the source of your species' remarkable adaptability. The Krell-Vazik reveal that they have encountered evidence of even greater threats in distant galaxies, truly hostile entities that cannot be reasoned with or understood. They believe humanity's unique cognitive approach might be the key to survival for all intelligent life. Dr. Rice, studying their biological samples more deeply, makes a final discovery. The Krell-Vazik are capable of incorporating new genetic material and adapting, but their rigid cultural evolution had suppressed this biological potential for millions of years. Perhaps we can help each other evolve, she suggests. The story concludes with the establishment of the first human Krell-Vazik collaborative research station. Commander Wei, now an ambassador, watches as human and alien scientists work together, combining logical perfection with creative unpredictability. We didn't just outsmart the universe's deadliest aliens, Dr. Kapoor remarks. We reminded them how to learn again. Dr. Reyes adds the final thought. The greatest human achievement wasn't defeating them. It was showing them that perfection without adaptation isn't perfection at all. The massive Krell-Vazik mothership emerges from hyperspace exactly 1 year after their departure, precisely on schedule. This time, however, it arrives alone rather than with a battle fleet. The crystal vessel gleams in Earth's sunlight, its perfect symmetry now altered with new patterns that seem almost artistic rather than purely functional. Aboard the orbital diplomatic station, the human delegation waits nervously. Dr. Rice fidgets with her data tablet, reviewing her research findings one last time. Commander Wei stands perfectly still, his military bearing unchanged despite the ceremonial, rather than tactical nature of his current uniform. Dr. Kapoor paces restlessly, muttering equations under his breath. The airlock cycles open to reveal the Krell-Vazik delegation. Their crystalline forms have changed subtly, the previously perfect geometric patterns now incorporating slight asymmetries and variations. The lead entity's internal lights pulse with humanity represents a valid evolutionary pathway we had not previously considered possible, the alien continues. Your cognitive diversity and technological unpredictability are not flaws but adaptive strengths. We wish to learn from you, as perhaps you may learn from us. The tension in the room dissolves into cautious relief. Admiral Chen steps forward. What exactly are you proposing? A mutual exchange. Knowledge. Culture. Perspective. The aliens' lights shift to a warmer spectrum. We have existed for millions of years in a state of perfect stasis, optimizing what we already possessed, rather than exploring new possibilities. Our logical perfection became our evolutionary dead end. It gestures to the view screen showing Earth below. You embrace chaos in ways we initially perceived as weakness. We now recognize it as the source of your remarkable adaptability. Dr. Reyes can't contain her scientific curiosity any longer. During your absence, I've been studying the biological samples you permitted us to analyze. Your species actually possesses significant genetic adaptability at a cellular level. You're capable of incorporating new genetic material and adapting rapidly. But something has suppressed this potential. The aliens' lights pulse rapidly in what humans have come to recognize as surprise. Your observation is accurate. Our cultural evolution emphasized perfection over adaptation. We deliberately suppressed biological variation in favor of technological optimization, which worked perfectly until you encountered something your perfect algorithms couldn't predict. Dr. Kapoor interjects. Precisely. We have devoted the past year to studying not just human technology, but human art, literature, philosophy, your embracing of contradictions and irrationality alongside logical progression. The alien makes a gesture with its crystalline appendages. Your Shakespeare writes both sonnets with perfect mathematical structure and plays filled with illogical emotional behaviors. Your Einstein develops rigorous physics theories while embracing thought experiments that defy conventional reasoning. Your species continuously demonstrates that apparent chaos contains hidden order, and perfect order benefits from controlled chaos. The Krelvesic delegation leader then reveals their additional motivation. There is another matter of grave concern. We have detected signals from the galactic rim indicating the presence of entities that even our most advanced analysis cannot categorize. Entities that appear to operate on principles neither your species nor ours currently comprehends. It projects a holographic representation of waveforms that seem to defy normal physics. We believe humanity's unique cognitive approach, combined with our computational precision, might be the key to understanding and potentially surviving this enigma. 6 months later, the first human Krelvesic collaborative research station orbits Jupiter. Commander Wei, now serving as ambassador to the crystalline species, stands at an observation window watching human and alien scientists working side by side. Engineers develop hybrid technologies incorporating both perfect efficiency and deliberate redundancy. Biologists study how controlled randomness might reawaken the Krelvesic's suppressed evolutionary potential. Dr. Kapoor joined him, grinning widely as he observes a group of Krelvesic learning to play jazz music, their crystalline forms resonating with improvised harmonies. "We didn't just outsmart the universe's deadliest aliens," he remarks. "We reminded them how to learn again." Dr. Rice approaches, carrying data from her latest experiments. The adaptive genes in the younger Krelvesic are already showing signs of activation. They're evolving again, after millions of years of stasis. She looks out at the stars, contemplating the unknown threat lurking at the galaxy's edge. The greatest human achievement wasn't defeating them. It was showing them that perfection without adaptation isn't perfection at all. Together, we might actually have a chance against whatever's coming. Wei nods thoughtfully. Humanity's greatest weapon was never our technology. It was our perspective. Beyond the window, Earth shines like a blue jewel against the blackness of space, home to a species whose greatest strength turned out to be their glorious chaotic imperfection. In this tale of humanity versus an advanced alien civilization, humans triumph not through superior firepower or technology, but by leveraging our species' greatest evolutionary advantages: adaptability, creativity, and embrace of apparent inefficiency that provides crucial redundancy and versatility. The HFY element comes from